Welcome to the NanoCap podcast. I'm your host, Will Tjernlund, and I'm excited to have you join me on this journey through the world of NanoCap companies. For the past decade, I've talked to thousands of business owners across various industries. It's been an enlightening experience revealing the vast tapestries of entrepreneurship and innovation that thrives beneath the surface of mainstream media coverage. Each week, I will interview different leaders of NanoCap publicly traded companies to learn about their history, what they do now, and their future. As a reminder, none of this information is financial advice, and it is all for entertainment purposes only. Let's start this week's episode. Hi, everyone. In this week's episode, I interviewed David Lee, the founder and CEO of Iveda, stock ticker IVDA. Iveda Solutions provides AI and digital transformation technologies in the United States and many other countries. David, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Will, thanks for having me.
So I was looking through your LinkedIn, and that's kind of where I like to start kind of all the episodes. I noticed that you had a civil engineering degree from San Francisco State, and then you also had mentioned in other interviews you started working at Radio Shack as a kid. So can you tell me just a little bit about how you about yourself growing up and how you combined those two expertise to want to start this company in 2003?
First of all, thanks for looking me up and listening to some of the interviews. And yes, SF State, I grew up in San Jose, California. And I think still till this day, the typical Asian family, you're either a doctor, an attorney, or an engineer. And frankly, I'm not a leisure reader, so no way am I going to be that attorney. Lots of reading back then, no internet, no ChatGPT. And I'm afraid of blood. Sight of blood, I look away for every blood test. So I'm not going to be a doctor. So my last choice, engineering. I was somewhat good in math, so I went through all the math courses and did what I did. But it was a discipline. The engineering degree is truly a discipline of follow through. And that is the same code of ethics, you say, or core values that I live by till this day. Radio Shack, since high school, I had to get written permission and letters of recommendation from school teachers as well as my parents, because I started at the age of 15 and a half, working part-time. But Radio Shack, the policy back then was you had to be 18 years old to work at Radio Shack. So I was a skinny little kid with oversized shirts and Cavaricci pants and a tie on that didn't quite fit, standing at the counter of Radio Shack, and I loved it. It was such a plethora of technology, and to me back then, it was cool. That was innovation. And being a kid standing with all that available and getting to hear from customers why they want this resistor, transistor, and this kit. This was before internet. You guys got to remember this, right? So hands-on stuff. I was thrilled. So getting out of school, during school, I was fortunate to work for a very innovative company. It was a wireless startup, none of what we all are familiar with today. This is pre-Wi-Fi, pre-3G, pre-iPhone, okay? So to have a wireless internet transmitting Go America, Prodigy, Juno, Earthlink without dial-up was what I got into during school. So hence why a civil guy is now involved in high tech. That's why, because I got, during school I was working part-time for these companies. After I graduated, hey, I got full-time offers. What led me into getting into Iveda and what we're doing now? Work experience and also life experience. I got laid off from a dream job as a kid. And got stranded here in Arizona after a promotional move that the company left me with, and started working within the industry, wireless, telecom, etc., and just met some of my customers. And the idea came about in security with one of my largest, BlackBerry customers. If you guys remember the Blackberries, that was it. I got to know my customer, what their needs are, what their problems are. And me as a quasi-technology guy back then, we just MacGyvered a couple things together and we came up with remote video. So remember, 2003, the term remote video is very cool. So that's it for you, answering that question for you.
Yeah, and so you mentioned in another interview in like, yeah, 2008-ish, you just had like rooms full of people and you're charging per hour per camera. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And like, how did you scale knowing that you just had to hire someone per camera and all that?
You're so attentive. Thank you for. It's a great history and it's a great explanation for the evolution to how we got here. Yeah, we offered a service where we were hosting customer video offsite at leased data center space, and that was pretty nifty back in that early days. Why did we do that? Because the value proposition was, as a small shop, your employees could juke you and not switch out the tapes when they needed to, or went and messed with the hard drives and deleted certain scenes that was that they can. In other words, no penetration of the local box is what we were looking for, and that was the value prop. The data was safe, it was off-site, and no one can mess with it. If you had an accident such as a fire or a flood, you captured it, but you didn't lose the evidence. So that was the value. What spawned off of that is, hey, wow, we can watch and call the police and report things in real time on behalf of our customers. The company evolved to being one of the first real-time video surveillance monitoring company. We provided what we call DMR, daily monitoring reports, every morning post a shift for each one of our clients. Now, Will, that was the hardship because we had to manually, believe it or not, screen capture, cut and paste, put it into a database, type the reason why, what we saw, and that was our daily monitoring report to our customers. They happily paid for it because we did a great job. Here's the problem. Humans can only handle so much at one time. 15 to 20 boxes that were moving around, and you had to capture and screen capture and cut and paste. We were still cutting and pasting, fully admitting that now. But that's where the need for automation came into place. We were becoming hindered, and we were very limited based on the human capacity and capability to perform at certain rates there. So yeah, that we did have a room. We watched cameras in real time, and we provided one of the best reports, but it wasn't scalable. That's what we've learned. Is that business, that methodology is just not scalable.
And so just a quick follow-up. Did you have a team in the US or were they overseas monitoring these?
They were right here in Mesa, Arizona, on the
Wow,
8th
okay.
floor of 1201 South Alma School off the I-60. So American employed, and we were very proud. We are a Homeland Security certified company till this day. And yes, a lot of our international success is that we're a great American company. So yes, Mesa, Arizona, guys.
Yeah, no, I was almost going to say it would have been more impressive if you're ahead of the curve with like a crew over in the Philippines and you somehow were having them work remotely in 2008. It would have been like, wow, that's an amazing process you've written. But no, even better that they're all there in Mesa, Arizona. That's awesome.
I may have gone that route, Will. I may have gone that route if there was enough bandwidth. It was very expensive back then.
Yeah. And so as you've automated over time and as you've used AI over time, I'm always kind of curious about like the curve of like revenue, because at first it seems like you implement AI and you're like, wow, our margins just quadrupled overnight because it works endlessly, doesn't matter about hours, we don't have to have nearly as much staff. This is amazing. Does it get to a point though, then when your customers are like, well, I know you automate everything, and so I don't have a human maybe watching it 24/7. So charging per camera per hour doesn't seem as fair anymore. I see that in my own business, that the more we automate stuff with software, the more people almost feel like there's a less of a perceived value. So how do you balance that?
Good question. We because we veered away and evolved from the physical human watching the camera to now, back then it was analytics, it was automated alerts, to now AI. That evolution in our world, and I'm just going to speak to my experience in the video surveillance and security and safety. You know what, Will? Our customers actually believe that more value will be achieved through technology. Because believe it or not, we humans don't trust others, right? So human nature, they rather rely on automation such as artificial intelligence behind the scene because it can do more and it can do more all the time while relying on a human, whether you're talking budgets, it's not as relevant of a comparison in the questions that you're asking me. The good news is, though, customers do trust technology over relying on a human being doing the same thing. Why? Consistency. So if we're measuring dollar value or a trade-off, I think the accuracy and consistency is the value that will be agreed upon. That, look, if David's going to watch this camera, good for him. I'm paying him to do it. But man, if David has someone to help him, giving me same, consistent, if not better, I'm going to maintain paying them because the result is the same. But if you want better results, the technology is what you're looking forward to.
No, that totally makes sense. And we've been mostly talking about your video search technology. I would love to kind of switch it up a little bit and talk a little bit more about the Viewmaster. The Viewmaster seems like something out of the future. Can you kind of just give a quick intro of the product and just a couple of use cases?
Yes. The Viewmaster was developed leveraging already built concepts, right? But what Iveda did with Viewmaster is we took robotics technology, what was only available, let's say if you were to buy a $2 million robotic arm for your plant, then that robot needed to be trained in some way. What we did was leverage the training methods and techniques for that robot arm and developed a product that could help you and I, Will, train what we need to see from our existing cameras at our businesses today, right? I took high-level, high-end tech and made it available at the grassroots level. And what are some of the examples? Well, pharmaceutical. Let's look, you and I walk into a CVS or an Osco drug, and we have our prescription. Till this day, we have to wait for a while because the pharmacist actually has to go count the pills, make sure that the prescription is correct, and then call you up with the red light, and then you pay and go home. Well, imagine that with the camera at the counter, the pill counting is recognized automatically over video, right? So you can pour it out in that tray, and if you have 1 or 2 pill over, there's no mistake now. The AI will pick that up, that the prescription allows only for 8, you got poured 10. So whether on purpose or by mistake, the AI is helping align that operation. As far as I've got another extreme outside in the field, imagine an oil company at its pump sites. There's something called, and I'm learning this just from the experience, is oil leaks don't leak from like a pipe or anything. It seeps up from the ground, and then it creates these puddles. Well, that's dangerous because if that catches fire, then there's a whole line, big problem. We can train instantly with existing video footage from cameras that are already on site. With Viewmaster, given a few seconds of that footage, the AI will recognize all the instances of puddles on the ground, and we, the human, can identify within minutes. As quick as we can identify is as quick as the AI will learn. But once the AI learns that that's an oil spill, oil puddle versus a water puddle, in the future, anytime there's oil percolating up there, you get an alert. So some extreme utilization, but what's cool is you can train it to recognize Reese's Pieces, M&Ms, Skittles, all these different packets, and then you get a pile, dump it on the table, it's going to count how many of each is available for you on that table. So think about inventory management, package inspections, etc. But all made possible through any video IP camera today, Android tablet, or a Google Glass, right? So real-time operation.
Okay, so that was going to be my quick next question is for your traditional business, you don't sell any cameras. You all just work with most all cameras out there and kind of the software layer to it. And it's the same thing with the Viewmaster, where you all just need a video feed and then you can kind of handle the rest. So it doesn't really matter what the headset configuration is, or if it's not a headset, or however the camera is taken with a tablet or however, correct?
Very accurate, and thank you for pointing that out. That's what makes the business so scalable, is that we're not obligated or obligating our customers to must buy our hardware. Though we are turnkey, you don't have to buy our cameras. You can use your existing cameras. That's the value here. Correct.
Yeah, no, and it's great with those other kind of more B2C consumer tech companies are leading the way for you B2B companies, which is usually kind of vice versa. Usually it's that the headset costs $50,000 and eventually it'll get down to 500. You all get to utilize kind of the cutting edge of these mega cap companies and get to just kind of have the software layer on top. It's amazing.
Yes, sir.
Just by curious, is there a certain headset that works better or a certain tablet? Or is there one that, like, if someone said, hey, I'm going to buy all new tablets, do you have a recommendation? Or do you guys say we're so agnostic, it really doesn't matter?
You know, I love, you're setting me up properly here. We are very hardware agnostic, meaning all we need is RTSP, right? Real time streaming protocol from any video source, and all the magic happens on the back end.
Very, very, very cool. So let's move over to another product offering of yours. You guys have a lot going on. They're all kind of adjacent to each other, but
Yes.
Cerebro seems like almost like the dashboard that kind of connects all of your different products in one place, so they can kind of have one brain to have it all in one place. Was Cerebro something you just created for yourself at first and then kind of spun it out to like a third-party product for your customers? It seems like it could maybe have that type of background. Or what was the idea behind Cerebro? Customers just needed a better dashboard, or what was the kind of genesis story?
I love your questions. Cerebro was actually brought to life back in 2008. The times when we were sitting in the monitoring room creating daily monitoring reports for our customers, Cerebro was the dashboard we used internally back then for all our monitoring personnel to consolidate data, pictures, notes that we've taken into a database. And Cerebro was where we organized all that data per customer account, and then we generated a PDF that we would send out via an email as the report for our customers. So Cerebro has always been that central brain that we had envisioned. And yes, over time it has evolved, because as Iveda offers different product sets and application, we wanted to bring all of that together we called it the one pane of glass, right? Back then for our customers. They're looking at a screen. We don't want them to happen to log in into another screen and open up another and log in. We want it all there. All the alerts and all the information should be consolidated, and whatever is most relevant, focus on what matters, is what we want to provide the ability to do with our customers. So yes, it is still that same intention. The platform is ever evolving as our product sets evolve and data sets grow throughout the industry. But the goal for Cerebro is a consolidator. We bring it all in and only work with AI to produce an alert or focus for our customers on what truly matters. That's Cerebro.
So we've talked about Cerebro and your different products more from the private sector point of view, from people trying to counter inventory, asset protection, those types of things. I would love for you to tell me a little bit more about how Cerebro is used on more of the public side of things in places like even saving lives in places like Philippines and such. Can you tell me a bit more about kind of how you monitor these different municipalities and how you work with them, and how that's a little different than working with the private sector?
Yeah, it's Cerebro as an aggregator of data. Very helpful is that when you walk into a city has many different needs for application, from IT to operation to finance. And there's multiple contractors that provide different products to fulfill different needs. So as a technology coming in saying that we're going to help you become a smarter city, the first thing you got to do is know what they currently are working with. What is the existing infrastructure? What is it doing or not? That's the key question there as well. And then as the solution provider, you come in and understanding how you leverage an existing application or tool that the city had already invested in. The last thing someone wants to do is to be told that you got to rip all this out and then buy mine. We don't play that game. My goal is to learn what you have now, how it's working, and if it's still working, that's where Cerebro comes into play. If it's still working, it's generating data of some kind for you. We then consolidate that data. We consolidate data from a different department, whether it's temperature gauges throughout the city, light pole energy consumption throughout the city, water drainage, amount throughout the city. This data becomes smart, relevant information for decision makers throughout the city on where to build the next road, how to prioritize, demand and supply of energy, routing and consumption. Again, it's all about data, and Cerebro is living up to its initial intention since 2008, is to consolidate data, but now with the help of artificial intelligence, we can process it in a way to help the stakeholder understand and bring to their attention only what's relevant in real time. So yes, that's how we're working with cities. And when we deploy IVDA AI on existing cameras that the city has to help parking management, to help fire detection, and of course, missing cars, stolen cars, we do all that. But then the city wants it all centralized. It needs to be like, okay, if you found a stolen vehicle, it's great for me to get an alert, but how do I tie that in with ticketing systems and other things throughout the city on existing tools and infrastructure? That's what we are aiming to accomplish with our end users and clients out there in the municipal and government sector. It's long, but the reality of smart city, it's not easy and quick. That's what you have to do, is understand what one has now, because there's no such thing as building a brand new smart city unless you're a multi-billionaire with a special project somewhere,
Yeah, no, for sure. And do you notice it kind of becomes almost this like self-perpetuating thing where a city will have a decent amount of cameras, you start giving them so much insights that they want to have even more cameras, so then you can give them even more insights. Is that kind of how you anticipate to grow with a lot of like the municipalities you work with?
Yeah, I'm going to answer this in twofold. Physically, yes, but technologically, not quite. Because why? The volume and quantity of camera, unlike the past, is no longer required, Will. Right? In the past, why do we need so many cameras? Because we, the human, had to manually have the opportunity to see as much as possible. There was nothing we could have done to prevent an alert. Here's a go, early detection. That terminology was not around in 2008, 9, or 10. Today, with technology, you don't need quantity. It's all about quality. One camera in front of a campus facing out to the lobby doors before you even enter the lobby can now do so much. It can know that Will and David are walking towards the lobby door. They drove here with a blue Honda Accord. If they're authorized, fine. If we don't know who they are, fine. But if we know that they're known perpetrators, the alert's already been sent, or automatically we could lock those double magnetic doors. It's that kind of automation where one camera is all you need, right? So functionality and the proper application of AI and applicable tech. No, you don't need 1,000 in a facility. If you got 100, now that 100 can do so much more in a job that it's never performed before. So you apply that job first, give it a responsibility first, and see if you need more. Now, how we generate revenue as a company, that's value. I can sell you 1,000 cameras and make a little bit of money here and there. But no, I'm going to be your partner for life with my license that's going to continue to uphold the responsibility and fulfill the duties that you've asked for of that technology for the lifetime of your business. We become a partner. I don't want to go out there and sell you more cameras and have to come back that hope that your cameras are broken so I can sell you more cameras. We're not in that business.
No, makes sense. It always helps to be a win-win.
Yes, sir.
So for your AI, just a quick follow-up question on that. Do you have like a kind of a baseline algorithm that you've trained that says this is fire, this is water, and then you kind of tweak it per customer? Or do you train like a new algorithm from scratch every time you sign on some big account?
I'm going to answer in very general terms.
That's fine.
Yep, no problem. There's a lot of over-the-shelf analytic that's already available, some of them even freeware, right? APIs that could be applied today. And I'll be frank with you, engineering development does not want to reinvent the wheel. What we do on the back end of things is we create mechanisms and machines that take what's available and continue to build and learn from that. So no, we're not needing to retrain new data sets all the time. And especially today with what Google's already providing for free, all of that is available for training our AI and object recognition. But when it comes to customer customized needs, this is why we develop Viewmaster, right? Viewmaster can look at your background and right there in your room, and you can actually train per painting, wall hanging that you have. What is that wall hanging? By whom? And can you believe that any other camera in the world connected to this network and this training module will now recognize that same wall painting every time it sees it? That's how we do it. But yes, fire is taught only once. License plate recognition, there's an algorithm for that free. It's what you do on the back end to make it intelligent and continually working on behalf of your customers is what Iveda does.
Yeah, I thought it might be not very economically sound to try to train a new AI algorithm per customer. That seemed like unless you're buying a bunch of H100s, that doesn't seem very likely.
Yes.
So as we kind of wrap up here, what makes you most excited about Iveda? And what do you see that kind of the next 5-10 years? What gets you up in the morning?
I love that question. I'm excited because it's fun. You know, I think you talk to anybody, what do they want out of their job? They want to have fun. They want a challenge, and these are generic conversations in any interview or professional conversation, right? Everybody wants to have fun at their work. They want to have that quite good balance, and they want to challenge something challenging. Well, we live that every day here at Iveda. Everybody at Iveda, we wake up to a lot of problems, you know, and we don't fear problems. Any good engineer should not fear any problems because that's what we're built to do, is to solve problems. And in the world of high technology, you can walk into almost any environment and a customer can't perform certain things. A customer has a desire or a wish to do perform a certain task in a different way. Do you know that this world is actually pretty big? The whole notion of it's a small world, no, this world is very big. Every encounter, every environment we come into, no matter what country, it changes and it varies all the time. So that's why it's always new to us. It's always engaging and very challenging. And that's what's fun for Iveda. Good for the business because problems will never go away in this world. Take it out 5 to 10 years. There's always something for us to do. And you've known me now. I mean, from the history, we evolved from 2003 all the way to 2024 now. We're not going to stop evolving. Technology is going even quicker. So our next year's conversation, I hope we talk sooner, but if we talk again in 1 year, you're going to hear something different coming out of my explanation. You're going to hear experiences that I have yet to encounter. So yeah, why am I excited? That's the reason, man. Every day is cool. Every day is fun. It's never boring. That's the real truth. It's never boring.
No, it's easy to be excited every day when you got all the tailwinds behind you.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the NanoCap podcast. If people would like to learn a little bit more about what you're working on, where should they go?
Oh, I highly invite them, not just to our website, but please follow Iveda on all social media platforms. I mean, from LinkedIn, Twitter, what else is out there? Facebook, YouTube. Marketing is doing our best right now to really get the word out, convey a good quality, easy to understand picture. So yes, social media now, it's a time. Follow us. We're trying to keep things real time and hint to a lot of wonderful things coming about.
All right. Well, I will include all the links in the description. Thanks again, David, for coming on. And for all of you still listening, please remember to subscribe and review. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Will.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not provide financial, legal, or any other advice. The information is not investment advice or any offer to buy or sell any securities or to make any investment. The views expressed by the guests are their own, and any reference to third-party products, services, or information does not constitute an endorsement therefor by NanoCap Podcast or its affiliates. The NanoCap Podcast express disclaims all liability for any individual's use of the information presented in this